Hi everybody, good morning. I'm doing today, which one? This one was released yesterday. Session Forensic Analysis Session and Token for Web Application Investigation. Um, in this room, we dive into different session type and how to investigate several logs type and other application level to identify compromise. Of course, so here they will tell us that requested for two rooms, the premium rooms, these two. This is a free, but the other two, because remember this is a blue site, so it's not about how to hijack or do security for JWT. It's more the blue team side, so you check in logs. The logs we check later on is this one. We have a web server, we have application, we have the IDP, and we have the browser dump. So it's more about the blue team than anything else. Uh, the two room they refer is this one. The JW security is part of the application pathway, and then we have the other one is basically the session management. This is more deep to things how the things are, but for us is more about the logs in this room than anything else. Here they're doing recap. Of course, they doing it for the session. There's a session, of course, how to track your login. The main room here is session management. If you want to go there, so basically, for example, you create a session, session tracking, session timeout, session termination, after user login. So you have the session notes creation, tracking, expire, session termination, and things like that. Basically here they give a recap. So authentication and authorization. Authentication is the process of verifying your identity. Who are you? In contrast, authorization is what you can do after you log in, after you get authenticated. Session is what the browser track the user, because when they log in the way how to track you for each page you log in. So that's what you have this session, a session the session here, like you have a username, you authenticate, you put your password, identified by username, you put password, so authentication. Then of course here authorization, who are you, what role, and then of course this is the accountability. Of course these are logs. To track these things is what we get cookie vs token. So we have the cookie, for example, session 1, 2, 3, and things like that. And then we have what we have the session. Of course we have you always get session, you have this secure, so indicate the browser that cookie may only be transmitted over HTTPS. HTTP only indicate the browser that cookie volume may be not read by JavaScript. So this is more secure, same site. So we can play this room quickly. For example, we have a login form. If you go to session, if you go for example quick inspect and you go to the storage, this is the one that we talk about. You can see the cookie is empty and the local storage is empty because we don't have anything there. So if you go, for example, sign up as student, for example, Jalil, my here I go Jalil 123. For example, I register, so my username, uh, and a login. So you can see here, or where do you have the cookie? This one to use the local storage. So you have the key. We have user. You can see here. It's a ID 8, name Jalil, role 2, surname null, username Jalil, the role 2. The user role, it's for example, this application said you're a student. So this type of session in this room, if for example, if you want to do the application, and then you can see that secure things. Where is it? Usually in the network side. After the post, the getter. No, this is not you. The font. Did I register? Where's my login? Okay, redirect cross s. Where is that secure? Why I'm not seeing it now? Let's do something. Strict origin when cross origin. That's fine. I'm looking for that varicon. Where is that secure things? My phone is popping. Let's not confuse everybody. Where is that thing now? This is session management. Uh, you can do this room if you have a premium subscription, but don't get confused too much. But this is basically the type of this room. For example, if you want to play much about the session and all of that, I have a video for it. You can check it. If you just want to watch how to trace, how to change, because remember we're going now to the storage and we have this how to play with this variable, because here we'll tell you where is that cookie now for this example. I'm in the right room. Here we can exploit, the session, the storage, um, and how to go from normal user to admin, and you go all the way. This is not you see, this is we have the same things that we did here. So basically, because now this room is more about logs, as I said, we go into the logs later on, so we're not how to attack, it's more how to trace it. So now I talk about this session. So we have session in database to save all these and track users. So the advantage is more control, since let me zoom it again. So more controls on the server store and manage the session, tighter security by design, no exposure to data. Disadvantage, of course, scalability, because you need data to store in database, resource consumption and high cost. Session are stored on the server side. Guys, this is a free room, so you can read in it. Spotting in the world, so understand the type of apps. Of course, when you get an app like that, so you need to know, does it use a JWT token or is it usually a session, what type of login. So you can check this one to know what type of technology the app use. Monolithic architecture, session tend to be the preferred method, because the architect implement tightly coupled front and back end. We have expendable session, short-lived. Basically, it's like a very short timer session, a friend in service where you make short bursts of requests, like filling out a form. The backend can quickly end your session. Of course, this the single pane management, if your application is small or to medium size and you don't have distributed microservice architecture, yeah, you don't need to go depth too much here if you're on the blue side. Here the interesting is the JWT token. Is, the W token, when you see it, is always these three parts: one, two, three. The header, the payload, and the signature. Famous site to use is always this one. The site is famous. This one too. The G decoder and encoder. Decode, encode. We'll come back to it now. The other room they're talking about is this is JW security. And here we have more structure. For example, consists of three components, each are base64: the header, the payload, the signature. This is the room. Sensitive information, this is the weaknesses where you do to attack the JWT token. These different example here if you want to do this room. So we have the header, the payload, the signature. That's the last one. Advantage is no backend dependencies. JWT contain all necessary session information, so the server does not need to start. So we don't need that database thing. Security can be encrypted because this signature last part No repeatability. Token can be signed. That's the key here. When you sign it, you can't really, even if you can see this, and this, the signature is difficult to fabricate. Cross-domain access, because the token are stored in like inside, not in the server, and they are scalable, because that's the key point. Disadvantage, can't revoke easily. That's one of the problem, because they are in the client side. If some um, compromise happen, you need to wait for the expire. And then client security dependencies are usually stored in local storage. Local storage is what we saw here. uh, this is the local storage, this is the cookie, and that's the local storage. This is not a JWT token, so it's something else, so let's not confuse. Encryption, apply is not encrypted by default. Also, you can implement it. HTTPS has to be present, so the token is not intercepted. Now, to spot a distributed system, if you have any application running on microservices where different services are interconnected, JWR your best friend. So this is like type 1, you would use them. Single page application, SPA, especially React and Angular. uh, yeah, this is why most being used. You can read about it. Is more yeah, for the blue side, you don't need to confuse deeply in this. So let's start answering some question quickly. What security mechanism do you have to implement when introducing? Remember, we said with the problem of the JWT, um, can't revoke as easily. So one of the security mechanism need to do the way how to revoke them, because they are strong here, but this is part of the biggest issue with them is uh, so you need to find a way how to revoke them. Revoke, what they call, how do you spell it? Revocation, revocation, yeah, revocation. Guys, give me a second. I have a phone call. Someone is calling now. It's need to answer it. Give me a second quickly. Hi, sorry guys, I'm back. Where we are now? Oh, you said the revocation part, because I said the GW2. One of the issue is um, the revocation things that we need to deal with it. Then the next one is, what is the attack called when an attacker steals your session ID? This is clearly session hijacking. Yeah, we can see it in this room also when they talk about session exploit, session management. What's the hijacking? Where is it? Yeah, it should be somewhere here. Session. I don't know where is it, but usually that's what they call it when session. How you spell hijacking? Session hijacking. What? What is the attack called when an attacker steals your session ID? I don't know, hijacking to spell like that. And now the next one, let's go so we can go straight to the logs. What's this? Decode and expecting token. Yeah, we're talking about now the token, as I said, this room of the token. Um, the token is no, this is symmetric sensitive and declosure. We come back to this token now. So let's follow this room. So we have a client. This is session, send login data. Server session in database. This is session. Then you have return the cookie with session token, and request with the cookie. Any request, you need to have a cookie there. So we can see here when we where's our headers. For example, if I go to model, I got my header. This not you. Network. Where is our cookie here? No, this one it use a new cookie request. I don't want to confuse people. There's a JSON there. I think it's better if I put burp. Let's not go there too much. So we have this session. This room is more about JWT. In session-based web application, a unique ID, the cookie, so we have that, is issued to the client, and the actual session data is stored in the server. So for example, if you have you'll see it like that. For example, session ID is something, then you have the path, and you have HTTP on TCQ, so you don't have that XSS and JavaScript. It tells the browser to include this cookie on request, and the server can verify via HTTPS the secure path and prevent JavaScript from accessing HTTP only. In the web server log, like if Apache is something you find line like that, and we can see it later on in our log. In the web server look like that. Things are big. This one is JWT token, so we're not going with that, and you get the browser and this session. All type of logs seen in this room are always application layer 7, and here you can read about this if you want. For the application log also we can see detail of user login successful, session ID to for example here the fluffy cat, and here it helps us also for privilege escalation while building your timeline. Uh, the token in other side, if you have the browser, we have server API. So you first your login username and password, you create the JWT with a secret, then send it to the browser, send the JWT with authorization header, check the JW signature, get user information from it. So basically, because and here they tell us an example of local store. You can see it's going to the storage. I didn't open the cookie. You go to storage. The storage is what we did in this room here, but this one is more about session, not a WT. Where's the storage? That's the local, but we have the session here. It's same concept in any case. So if you want to go that room, now for the JWT, this is the room for it. If you want the type of attack in JWT token, what else we have here? We can see the authorization. For privilege you can set. With the practice you can stand this one. Finally, when investigation JWT, the identity provider that provide the token are often issued by IDP, and this service log insurance event token content and authentication. You'll see like that the token was issued for this, for that, and if you look to you see it like that in the log that we'll have now in the practice later on. You see something like that. So, and then yeah, for example here, if we take this one, there's this site jwt.io, this one you can just copy there, paste it there, and here it will tell you, for example, user is John Doe. It uses the algorithm HS256 type JWT token, and a signature set list, and then a default like that. They are always three part base 64 text, and here you can use that software there, that page. The algorithm tell us the server what algorithm, and of course they talk about the time. You can use converted time, you use the Linux time, because for example here we'll see the time, and here it already tell you where is it, G so 156. His is converted for you automatic, so it's fine. We can, or you can go online to convert it, or use the command line in Linux date command. Then if we ask the question, where would you find logs useful for investigation, prevention, escalation? And then we talk about it here because it's more not in the server side, is more about the application. Where is that application tiny key? This is an IPD application. Yeah, the application would say the user, so it's more in the application side of the logs. Then the question, where would you find logs useful for mapping user agent? The agent, usually when talk about agent, this is always the what do I call it, web server logs. That's where usually you find Apache logs or something like here. If you go to web server logs, is the one that you see, for example, Mozilla. It gives you more detail. And then which log will you check for if JW token has been forged? For forged, for example, here we have the application. Yeah, if it's forged, usually yeah, because also, like for example the IDP. What's this room? Where is that thing? The IDP. Finally, when investigating JWT, identify provider are keys that are often issued by an IDP, and this saves logs issuance event token content and authentication status. So if it's not there, it means it's forged. So basically, we need to do with a provider with an S or without an S here. No, without an S. Logs. And here they give us investigation. They tell us an incident was triggered recently at try what? TryFlufMe TFM. It seems some weird activity was happening in TFM internal admin portal. SecOps has reached out to you, a seasoned application security engineer, asking to collaborate during the incident investigation as they need advice on where to start. After reviewing endpoint logs, they have hit a wall. You have asked them for application and server logs, browser dump, and anything as they could find. They have provided you with. We have the web server log tracking incoming HTTP request, application log, it shows token being validated with user role, idp log, as we said, we need this to verify forgery, and of course the browser dump because will give us the storage part of it. You can use this tool to decode, yeah, we can use this tool. Now, what user agent can be seen in the logs? So, of course, this is the logs they give us: the web server, the application, the IDP, and the browser them. Of course, when we talk about a browser, it's straight to the web server, and you can see it's all Mozilla. This is small log, so you can trace it straight there. We don't need to do fancy correcting if there is a log to many things, but most of them is there. And he said, based on the logs, what kind of token are we dealing with? Uh, of course, now the application, of course, doesn't. You can see it's a token accepted backend change forgery JWT. You can check in IDP because someone is issuing token here, and of course the logs will tell you everything because in the logs we can see this. You can see it here. It's a JWT log, so if I put this, why invalid signature? Yeah, we don't have the original signature, that's fine, so don't freak out about this. This is a JWT, so we know it's a JWT token. What is the IDPS server that issued the token? Of course, from the logs we can see the one that the IDP is this one issued by this. This is more a login part. We're not doing some try of hacking. Which user has requested a token? Of course, to know the user, you need to decode the token, but even then you can see user fluffy cat. So we can see the fluffy cat role user, so you can go there. For sure we know it's a fluffy cat, and you can see it from the token when it's built. It's built username fluffy cat role user, expire at 2020 July 2024 2:30. So when you have the time, algorithm HS256 JWT token. So we are good somewhere. What rule change trigger the warning? So now if I go to the logs, if the application will tell us, because if you remember we said if there is application privilege, we check in the application log. You can see user, then there's a warning here, role mismatch with idp record. So the idp record, it talk about user role. Look for the timing, of course, when the time is 240. Let's 240 to this new after 240 here, because it's not requested. So it's request user, but somehow at 240:57 somehow changed the role to admin those triggers. So we know it's an admin. And then let's correlate the time. So 240:57, if I go to 240 to 40:53, what's the time that side? 240:57, jump to admin. So somehow here something changed. You can see get sitting at 240:53, and somehow you can see now, if you look carefully here, the, the it changed. You can see IN0, and then here before that one, this one also changed. Is something changed here? Is in the city, and you can see it's calling admin at 240, and then you can see now J9. This is the old token. You can see it's not the same one. Something changed, and here a reason why. So if this one, the old one, the J9, and then you can see it's calling admin with a new one. You can see this one. If I copy this one and I go there, now is something. Why is not copying? Because in my browser is not Control C. Now you can see it switched to admin fluffy cat, and you can see very interesting, the algorithm change, it become none. And then this is what give us, for example, what was the malicious token used. Is this the one that used? We just copy it now. This one, that is the new one, because that's why it switched to admin here. You can see the endpoint admin, the token change, and also notice something in the token. You can see they said this tool only support a JWT that uses GWS compact serialization. So it means there's 3 of them, but we have only 1, and we have these 2. Where's the 3rd one? The signator doesn't exist. Now if you go to the room GW security, in, for example, sensitive information disclosure, they talk about one of the not here, the next one, signator not verifying the signator. The first issue with signator validation is when there is no signator validation. If the server does not verify the signator, you can bypass it. And here we talk about a GW support none. So basically this attacker, what he did, if you look for it, he did this because he took the old one. So we took the old one, this one, which, and you can see the one in the browser. This is the IN0. You can see this is the new one. So basically what is it? You take the old one. I take this one. For example, I can go there. This is the old one. This is the one for ruler user, you can see. And now I can just come here and say JW encode username Fluffy. Uh, what was the let me see what the hacker did. uh, I can then what you do, you just came to encoder and you just change your role here. Let's say admin, and I put this none, and basically I get this new when you do none, you don't have the signature, you have one two, and that's why you have two element only in the browser dump. You have only one and you have two, the second line. Not like the first one. You have three component. You have one, and that's three. So when you switch there, you start using this one. Where is that admin endpoint? Use this one. Let's copy it, and you can see it's only two. We have one and we have two. So it means is using algorithm none. So it doesn't need verification signature. So so the logs, what was the noise? We know is switched to none. Here is what exactly did. Let's see, he changed and then he copy this. You copy that and just go to local storage and change it. So basically, if you want to do that room, of course you can build it yourself. We just take this, the local storage, or you can just go to decoder and just paste that thing there, and it tell you here none and Fluffy, and it changed the role to admin. You can see what happened when you have a non algorithm. And here in the room they will tell you, for example, because here's when the application allow the non algorithm to none. If you have a subscription, try to do this room. You understand more how to do that tag. And here, what was the previous legitimate token? The legitimate token, of course, the one that a user uses, the old one. You can, before becoming admin, this one. Before he was, that's the user that you use, and here is 256 Fluffy user. So this is the answer for this question. Then what argument the legitimate token? Of course, the legitimate token, you can see it's HS5256. Now, from the log, we can see the investigation confirmed that the user Fluffy Cat accessed the admin endpoint. So we know it accessed the admin endpoint here. That's the admin endpoint. Using forged JSON web token, a log analysis showed the identity provider is this. We saw that one. Shortly after, second token was used with the role admin, which was initiated by IDP. The backend application accepted this forged token, resulting in an authorized administrative access. Given Fluffy Cat is an internal user, the most likely scenario is that they extracted the original token from the browser location, tempered with payload, modifying the role, and yeah, they can go to user to admin or assign a token, possibly using guess not secret in this case, but in this case is they change the role to algorithm to none. So the application side had problem. So the containment, of course, revoke all active session for Fluffy Cat and reset their credential, notify the wider security team, conduct full token audit across logs for other signs of forged or replayed token, speak to the product team and senior management to temporarily disable admin endpoint or enforce strict authorization while investigation further. Now, what can you do for remediation and hardening? Now you can say a false strong signature. This is so remove that non thing, so it shouldn't be possible. Then implement JWT validation, confirm that issue a claim match your identity provider. For example, don't allow that's non things. In this case, it used the same IDP that TFM uses, but it's always good to check. Harden client-side storage. Storing the local storage is not recommended to protect against XSS. It's better to use HTTP-only cookie instead. Add token reuse detection. And here they talk about this technology and store it in server-side to prevent replay or reuse temper token. This is not, if you want to read about it, it's not more about the blue team side. This room is more blue team side of things. Then what can you do, what can you add to ensure a JWT token is not tampered with? What we can do, um, yeah, what we can do is it more about this section. I think this is where the question is related. Token verification. This is what can more you do. If you want more security, more control, you can do this last part. And this is more about the room. So this room is more about the blue side. If you are you're more interested in defensive side, you can check these two rooms, the JWT security and all the session management one. If you just interested, it's good also if you blue team try around it, so you instead later on, so you know how the log work, so in case you get bigger logs or something like that. What happened here? Continue. I already did yesterday this one, so I'm not getting tickets again. Yeah, guys, subscribe the channel, guys. Thank you for the support. If you have a question, leave a comment and have a good day.